dignified and very respectful way, but he was a preacher, quite heavily actually. It's what a challenge it must have been to George Harrison when Prabhupada wrote to him, "Yeah, I heard you write some music, but I can teach you some really nice tunes." That must have been a really insult to George Harrison. Prabhupada and his tunes, which are very, very simple from a musical point of view, But it didn't matter ultimately, because George Harrison was intelligent enough to understand this is a very, very spiritual, very greatness of Prabhupada. He could sense that. He was biased. So he could just sense that how great Prabhupada must be. So he was very, very respectful and very affiliated. He was instantly attracted to devotees, but in his own way, that you cannot change. When you deal with people of that caliber, it's like you preach to a king. Prabhupada exhibited a similar attitude when he preached to the king, like King of Jaipur, or something like that. Or, as a matter of fact, when Prabhupada preached to any prominent personality, because it is assumed, it requires a great deal of pious activities to assume any prominent position in the material world. So these people are not stand-up, they are not normal in that sense of normal citizen. They have some merit in that regard. Even a big demon, it's not a chance. How do you become such a big demon? How is it possible to become Hitler? I mean, you must have done something in the past which allows you to have such a position and exhibit such a power and influence. So Prabhupada respected that. Yes. I think Prabhupada could preach even to Hitler. He would just, be very, man of principles. Yes. What kind of principles, that's another thing. But definitely, he said he was a man of principles. He didn't deviate from his principle. He was ready to die for that. And he did. He didn't say at the end, "No, Nazi is nonsense. Or here, my friends, please, I surrender. I will become now the Russian," like many Nazis did that actually. They actually surrendered to the conquering party and became useful for them. Whole East German secret police was created by Nazis because they were good. Germans, in prosecuting others, they were good. If you want to prosecute somebody in a very systematic, organized and persistent way, you have to become a German. They are good. They get you in a concentration camp one way or another and you will not escape. And you'll be perfectly registered. Even the number of your golden teeth from your skeleton will be registered. Then you are killed. So that's German. So they knew that. Or the Americans. They were fascinated by the development of the Germans of rockets. So the first thing, when they got the chief from the rocket department, and that's how they started their rocket program. And he surrendered. Actually, he was just a fascinated scientist. So he actually didn't really care for whom he's going to build the rockets. But Hitler gave him a good support, so then he did rockets for him. Then the Americans finished off Hitler and said, "Why don't you make rockets for us?" And he was going, "Why not? If I have a big laboratory." And suddenly the war crimes and all this was not so important. That was not so important. They make deals. That's what you do regularly in politics. You capture, the chief, and you say you have two choices. We will shoot you, and we will sentence you because of your war crimes, or we kind of forget the whole thing and you will work for us. Doesn't matter how many people got killed, because we want to kill people too, So you will kill people for us. That's politics. Everything can be changed and redefined, and there's no justice. So Prahlad Maharaj is pointing to the real problem. The real problem is that we all have to come back again and face the same situation. Devotees should make excursions, and people should make excursions maybe to birth clinics or to slaughterhouses or maybe to old age homes. I saw my mother in an old age home, very educated. Not old age home actually, that's the last hospice, that's the last place they put people where they know they will die there. And they're practically unconscious. The whole house full of people like this. And you walk through the corridors and you know, and there's a lady with drinking constantly tea, but there's no tea in a cup. And she just goes, oh, you know, it's just one character. You can make movies. And then you go, another one, and another lady goes and sits there. She has a newspaper and she cannot read anymore. You know, because she's practically blind. This is like, you know, they know already, the doctors know, this person is going, he's finished. What a shocking thing to see such a thing. From spiritual point of view, absolutely catastrophic. I used the momentum. When my mother was lying on her bed, she was checked out. They medicated her hair so heavy that the hairs actually fell out. And she was just you know. So I took that privilege to sit close to her and I just chanted Madhara Hare Krishna into her ear. Which I could have never done, you know, in a normal way. She couldn't resist. Right, she was listening, because the sound, that's the last thing which usually is still there. So I could see how her eyebrows were moving. She could recognize my voice. She couldn't stop me chanting. No. That's the last thing I could do. 2 weeks later she was dead. So, you know, so that's it. So, what can you do? That's how we are all going to end. Just checking out. And in an uncontrolled way, we are back again. Who wants to be born back again in Denmark? And don't think it's going to be a better Denmark as today. You see how the degradation goes. What even the wildest hippies in Prabhupada times couldn't imagine is today reality. Actually, the hippie thing was very infantile. Let's undress. Let's show the genital. This was the 60s, 70s. You know, but actually it was like daring thing to do. And you pretend it doesn't matter. Ha ha ha, I'm free. But actually everybody was like, oh. Nowadays they don't even notice when they are naked. They don't even, wow. It's just sex life. Wow. Previously it was like the agitating experiment. It was like, wow, let's break the barrier. Let's become specially degraded. Wow. Now it's like, Now give it 10, 20 years more, 20 years more, you know what they are going to be. Now we are chasing dogs from our tagetas in front of the temple. You know, 20 years down the line we may chase, you know, copulating people from the tagetas. We have a sign, don't have sex here. That's Krishna's flowers. You know, who said not? I mean, there's no limits. When you start the degradation path, there's no limits. You can establish anything, as Mr. Goebbels said. Truth can be simply defined along the momentary needs of a particular society. That's the truth, and that's reality. So what? You move the value system more and more and more. Prabhupada said, now they abort children, they never eat them. They say, what a waste. Why not? There'll be a restaurant. I mean, there's no limits. Already now they are changing the barriers so violently and quite very fast. So, you want to be born again into that? And probably you may not even survive. Your mother will kill you. So, that's the real problem. And regarding realizing Lord in the heart, it's quite simple. We just have to listen to spiritual master, who is the external manifestation of the Super Soul. That's our Paramatma realization. And of course Krishna can tell you from the heart. He's there, but that requires quite some purification. Sankirtan devotees have such stories, but Krishna just guides them instinctively in a situation where they can distribute a book. Actually, if we would all work under the dictation of Super Soul, just imagine how simple management would be. Because Super Soul will just go, you want to serve me, right? Yes! How can I serve you? Well then, do this. You will be coordinated by the Super Soul. Just imagine what a management that would be. It will not be like, you know, why is this here? Why is that here? Move this out and bring it back! Oh, I forgot. Oh, okay. You know, all these hiccups we have every day. You know, it's just plain struggling tamago. People leave socks behind and objects behind and their shoes behind, they walk around. And then they step on something, they go, what is it? And they realize, that's my shoe. Okay. Well, you can forget this Super Soul realization. But at least one thing we could do is to meditate about the mission of spiritual master. That's a level of coordination which is possible. This is not something abstract. This is real. Is my activity obstructing the mission of the spiritual master, or is it serving the mission of the spiritual master? For that we have to know what the mission is, of course. But now we are living in the times where even people with tilak will tell you, oh, he's talking about this mission. You have to taste the name. And we have to go inside. This mission. Mission statement and job description list and management and all this mundane stuff. Organizing authority, forget it. I am my own authority. I am my own God. I will define how to realize the Super Soul. And when I meet the Super Soul, we will talk it out. Because actually I'm also God, you know. So I like to meet God, because it's like, we are partners, you know. It's called devotional partnership. Yes, we can talk it out. Krishna, I like to serve you. What? Like this? Not really. Can you give me some other service? This was Prabhupada struggling with his disciples right away there. When Prabhupada was cautious not to harm the enthusiasm they exhibited to serve his mission, but simultaneously trying to correct the mentality that they want to surrender on their own terms. Because like example, when you have this mentality, I want to surrender on my own terms, it's impossible to become steady. Because the senses will start to pull you around. I can read your letter, actually this is a really nice letter too. This is somebody I knew very well. This is a letter to Hamsatuta, who was known for being an absolutely progressive preacher, but not very steady. He was an incredible creator. He could just, out of nothing, he could go on a street and create a movement. But to maintain it and sustain it, that was another problem. Nothing what Hamsatuta created was sustained. It always fell apart. Sometimes under very dramatical circumstances. So Prabhupada would have a high appreciation for him being the pioneer of Krishna consciousness. But on the other side, he had a hard time to keep him steady. And this is an exchange of many letters like this, came back and forth, you can read this. But you can also learn in general from that our attempt to create or generate something is great, but we should also think really how to sustain it. There was something, they just said once here, that this, if you have starting something, then think about how to maintain it. If you cannot maintain it, then we know it. That was one of the lessons from Hare Krishna days. so many things created, with not a clear concept how to maintain it. He even personally taught me that. He said, oh yeah, you bring some idea, devotees want something, everybody gets enthusiastic. He spoke especially about creating a farm like this. But he was so unsecure on this point because there was no farmer. How do you have a farm without a farmer? But Prabhupada wanted a farm. We had a meeting with him. The manager said, why shall we have a farm in Sweden? There's no farmer here. And we are struggling to maintain what we have already. The preaching was already really on a decline. He said, I want to have a farm. Bam! So there was a farm. Collected by not preaching. by a bunch of ladies running around selling Hong Kong paintings. All paintings. Anyway, you know that. That's the history. And then you create something and try to give it a purpose. Same thing about puja, Prabhupada said. You don't start puja if you don't have the brahmanas to worship. You don't do that. Because then again, oh, we need a puja. You always need, there's always a missing man. So better to maintain what you have in a steady way. And from there on, one can upgrade. As Prabhupada describes. Now we appear a little restless. That was after the first German Bhagavad Gita came out, this 1973. It was 1 year after I joined. The first German Bhagavad Gita came up. Prabhupada was very, very grateful for us to do that. It was a fancy edition with this kind of silk paper and fancy. Actually, it was not, nobody could think this is for distribution. So they print this for devotees. It was a quite small print. It was a big bulk, you know. We got even deluxe editions. This is Sankirtan devotees also by that time, 1 year in Sankirtan. So we got the deluxe in a big bag. It was not the small Bhagavad Gitas in a bag with a zipper, it was a big Bhagavad Gita in a bag with a zipper. Quite, you know, fancy edition. So now you appear a little restless. I know that is your nature. You like to do big things, and you are very capable and intelligent young man for executing tremendous tasks on behalf of Krishna. But I think that you have got a huge field of endeavor in the German-speaking countries and other countries of Scandinavia, communistic countries, and other places like that. Can you imagine how restless Sanskrit is? Because Prabhupada tried to limit him to Europe. You know, because he knew he cannot stay even in Europe, he has to travel all over the planet. Now work very vigorously to develop these places, and it is your great task at hand. You need not to look further to find some big challenge. The challenge is very near at hand. That means developing and expanding along the lines as you have begun. Of course, we are not ever very much anxious to repeat the same activity many times. That's the nature of the conditioned soul, not to do the same thing again. That is the nature of the living entity, that he seeks to enjoy varieties of flavors. But mature understanding of activity means to take it as our occupational duty. That is to say, suppose I am established as a good carpenter, then it will be foolish if after some time I am thinking, oh, I have done this cutting of wood so many times, now it is becoming boring and uninteresting, therefore let me become a doctor. No. That is not recommended by Krishna, neither it is common sense. Occupational duty means to stick with one type of occupation which is just suitable for me, considering that it is my duty, and therefore I am throughout my life obligated to perform it to the best of my ability. This is mature understanding of occupation. That means I must not leave it even for so-called good cause, just like Arjuna wanted to stop his fighting activity just to avoid killing so many of his kinsmen, Kusam brothers and other friends. So we are preachers on behalf of Lord Krishna, and that is our occupation and duty. We haven't got to search any further some new challenge or change our engagement. No, that has been already settled up. Now best thing will be to develop more and more what we have begun. We have built this, I have built the skeleton of the building, but there is so much more work remaining before us. The GBC Mena, the world is divided into 12 zones for gradual development by those, my chosen right-hand man. So however you manage it, that you know best. My only point is that I do not like to see you become discouraged as you are indicating, because there is no actual cause for such a discouragement. Then Prabhupada makes a little point that he adds to the letter, because obviously he read this letter twice, and he makes some additional point which he couldn't fit in the text anymore. So at the bottom he writes, whenever you feel some discouragement, please immediately come to me and live with me for some time. That was the incredible luxury these devotees had. When you really were freaked out, you could just go and live with Prabhupada. What an amazing option. Rather, there is all encouraging prospects ahead. Now you have started something tangible and solid in German-speaking countries. You are printing books, magazines, and distributing them widely, collecting huge funds. Now the work is just beginning. So you have got a little facility now. Utilize this opportunity to take advantage of Krishna's favor in you in this way. Consider that each day shall be a new challenge for you to push on Krishna consciousness movement within your range of managing. But I think that you are developing things nicely already. You are one of my senior disciples and you know these things already, so only you are a little humble because you said like this. So, anyway, it's relating to some of the points Sutta mentioned. So this is the challenge at hand all the time. Like this temple used to be more full, used to be more empty. More full, more empty. Empty, more full. Coming, going, coming, going, coming, going, coming, going. So it's natural, of course, when people get married and they change ashramas, they evolve to another type of existence that doesn't terminate their Krishna consciousness, they operate just from another ground. But in any regard, and this is like family life, it forces you to be steady. Every day the same stupid thing, you have to go and work and make money and supply, and every day the same thing. You can see it, you can watch it in our neighbors and this. They don't go, hey, hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. No, they come home and the kids come home and then the same eating and then they do this thing and then they have a holiday. You know what the average of holiday today becomes in Europe? 1 week a month, a year. That's holiday. And they all go, and then the rest of the time, shut up and work. Because you have the loan, you have the debt, you have the mortgage, you have this, you have your car, you have your house. Work. Shut up. You may not even have a time to relax on a weekend. Like you see our neighbor, the only fun he has, he can have no time to make a garden or something like this. He just puts some jumping device there and then he jumps and that's it.
He also himself?
Yeah. He's there with the kids. I don't think they even know the limits. These things are designed for 110, 120 kilos max. There's those 6 of them inside. Including the father, they go, and they just wait for the sound of that cracking steel. And they all end up sitting on the grass.
That would be nice.
This trampoline, I end up with the same devices, but I didn't even dare alone jump on it. Or break such a thing. There's even a system when 2 jump and they get a certain rhythm. One jumps down and by his impact the thing comes up and becomes very hard on the corner. And when the other one comes down at the same time, well, he hits his head. It's not elastic forever. If they don't jump simultaneously, they can hurt themselves actually like that. And there's a limit of weight. It's very simple gizmo, it's sustained by springs like this, but they have a limit to how much they can take, you know, like this. There's 5 or 6 of them inside. It's going, these people don't read any manual, so what? And that's the only fun you have. The rest of the time, probably not so funny. Teaching something and just doing something. I mean, some people do like the work they have. Generally, teachers are people who like the work they are doing. Otherwise, you cannot sustain such activity. I met very few routine teachers in my life. Very few. It's so challenging, that job. Because you have these obstinate kids all the time and so many troubles. And the parents are the worst. They get on your case nowadays. So, and you have no power to exercise some authority. they are all like temple president or something. There's no power to exercise authority. You just go, please, can you learn something? Well, that's your opinion, come on. This is the teachers, they are all like this. They're quite humble fellows. I spoke to quite many teachers in my life. They are all, you develop really compassion. They are all like, they must love their job. They don't go home in the afternoon if they cannot. There's some kids in trouble, they have to stay in school and this and that. And parents want to speak to you and it's all trouble. So they must like that. They just like to take care. And usually it's been most of the time.
Many teachers take books.
Huh?
They like to take books. Teachers.
Really?
Yeah. That's my experience.
Yeah.
Good people.
Teachers are nice.
You can tell them Bhagavad Gita, there's about somebody who didn't want to listen, but by reading that book, you start to listen. You'll be very inspired by that idea. Because I always meet people who want to listen.
Teachers are often very humble, that's a fact.
Oh yeah, it's underpaid in all countries.
Yeah. And
It's amazing. The demons will spend so much money for military and all kinds of things. But for education, yeah, they build schools, they do build schools and all this kind of thing. But for the people working there, not much of fun. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you.